everybody. Welcome back to Triangle BNI. My name is Mike Manning. Each week, we give you success business stories from the Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina area through BNI. BNI is Business Networking International. It is the world's largest networking group. And our little slice of heaven here in the Triangle is Triangle BNI. There's almost 40 chapters, almost 800 members. All have a good story to tell. If you are looking to grow your business anywhere in the United States, I recommend that you take a look at BNI. It's in each BNI chapter, it's a dedicated seat. So no matter what profession you're in, you are the only one in that chapter who has that seat. So all the good referrals come to you. And that's one of the beauties of BNI. We'll talk more about that later. Our guest today, Jed Gronewald, a top producing realtor from Hunter Rowe Realty. Jed, glad to have you here today.
It's great to be here, Mike. Thanks so much.
So you have been in BNI since January of 2010.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
So tell us where Hunter Rowe Realty is today and where your team is and all the good things you guys have going on.
Yeah. So Hunter Rowe, real estate agents and advisors. We've been in business about 14 years. We've been the lowest days on market of any firm in the Triangle for the last 9 years. And why that is because we have just been focusing deeper and deeper on our processes to create a better product for our clients, but also a better product for our agents. And so
it's quite a competitive field. So
it's a very competitive
trying to
field.
separate yourself, right?
It's amazing. Yeah, it is amazing. And there's like 4,500 licensed agents in the Triangle,
and more every day now that the
and more and more
good,
every
right?
day.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. So yeah, so we started. Mike Regan who's an agent in the area here, started with a manufacturing process improvement background, and was looking around and trying to figure out what's another industry that could handle being done a little better. And real estate is one of those things that you get into the business and think, how do you do this? How do you do real estate? Well, go do what that guy does because he's been successful. Well, clearly that's a great way of doing things. So let's go do it. No one ever stops to check and see, well, is that the best way of doing things? So that's what we've been trying to do for the last number of years, is really dig in and try to find, there's tons of different ways to do real estate. We want to try to find the best way to do real estate, best for the agents and best for the clients.
And how many people on your team right now?
So that's one of the cool parts about our firm is that I have a team that's managed by the firm. So technically I'm an agent to my own, but I have a team of people that help me that are not directly employed by me. So they're all cross-trained, so they can work with other agents within the firm. But I have 3 that are pretty much work exclusively with me.
And I know Hunter Rowe is very invested in BNI in the Triangle area.
Big time. Yeah, the cool part about BNI and our processes at Hunter Rowe is they're just like hand in glove. Real estate is, while we deal in houses, it is a people business and all about relationships. So we are committed to working by referral. So we don't advertise other than our properties. Of course, we advertise our properties, but we don't advertise our services at all. It is 100% word of mouth by referral. And not to say there's, again, not a bunch of other ways to do business, but if I have choice, I want to work with someone that was referred to me.
Mm-hmm.
I want that trust relationship that comes from someone else that already knows me, likes me, and trusts me to do what I do well. And that's the beauty of BNI, is that it's about building relationships. It's about building that trust, and getting in and having people that have your back, that know you and trust you, and then will be willing to open their mouth and kind of put themselves out there to say, look, Jed's going to take really good care of you through the process. So that's really what it's about.
And if you've never been to a BNI meeting, we recommend that you go visit, see what it's like. A lot of fun, a lot of money being passed.
Yeah.
And each week there is a featured speaker, 1 or 2, depending on the size of your group. Some groups that are bigger will do 2 5-minutes. Smaller groups will do 1 10-minute. And there's always a member bio sheet introduction. So we're going to do it this way with Jed. Like you said, Jed Gronewald, realtor. Location is
Raleigh.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many years in the business?
16.
previous types of jobs, and you can go all the way back to high
Yeah,
school if you so
I'll
choose.
give them all to you. Let's see. I worked at I was a mechanic in a jet ski dealership. Did sales and worked in the back, which was great because I was in high school. So I got to ride everyone's. Really,
Oh,
we got all these guys doing high performance jet skis. So I got to go ride them all before they did, which was great. Let's see. In college, I worked at Taco Bell and delivered pizza at Papa John's, and then I got into IT work. So I did. I have a love for computers, and so I did hardware support, and then did software support, and actually graduated with a computer science major,
mhm,
minor in math, and so I got to apply all that. But what I realized pretty quickly is that again, the people business is about solving problems for
yeah,
people and just having to do it through computers.
okay,
Um, and then I renovated houses, got into the construction side of things with a gentleman contractor um, after a layoff in one of the computer jobs,
yep,
and kind of went back and forth with construction and computers, and got went through a couple different downturns of economy where computer jobs were being laid off. And so I got to a point where I was just like, okay, enough of that. Let's go to the thing I really know. And that was houses. I was dealing with houses. That was building houses, not building houses, but renovating houses.
mhm,
So my dad and I did that for a long time. I actually got my real estate license to help our remodeling business.
mm,
Yeah.
makes
And
sense.
what I found though, that there were a lot of people that weren't being represented well by agents. They were kind of seemingly filling out papers, but not really listening to their needs. And so I ran across a couple people kind of in this predicament. And I said, "Hey, man, I can help you. I'm doing it for me. Let me help you like I would help myself." And what I realized is I really, really enjoyed being an advocate for people and just bringing my knowledge and relationships and the people that I trust to the table to help others.
Good,
Yeah.
good. And your wife is Ashley.
My wife is
Tell
Ashley.
us about the children.
Yeah. So Ashley's also a top producing real estate agent in
Yes,
our firm.
because that's the only type you hang out with,
That's the
right?
only
Yeah.
type. Yeah. No, she's a rock star and
Were those in the wedding vows?
to do or not to do real estate. Yes. No, we've got a 2-year-old, almost 2-year-old named Ellie, little girl. She is a sweetheart. And Ashley's actually pregnant with our second coming up here, hopefully in probably end of December.
Very
So
nice.
yeah,
All right,
yeah. So
good
she's
deal.
a top producing real estate agent, a top producing mom. So
Animals?
oh, we have 2 little dogs. Yeah, Charlie and Hershey. And yeah, that was I grew up with labs, and so of course I wanted a dog. It was almost a reason that Ashley and I didn't get married was over the dog thing, having a dog in the house. And because I grew up with them like as integrated as part of the family, she grew up with outside dogs, and so finally she saw the light and realized, okay, this is a good thing. So we got this. Ashley was at one of her clients' houses, and they had this little tiny dog. I mean, really small. She took a picture of it, sent it to me. She's like, "Could this be? Is this enough dog?"
Does that count?
I was like, "Is it breathing?" And she said, "Yes." And I said, "Okay, well, whatever dog that you think you want, we're getting it." And that little dog just integrated and
Mm,
ended up being her best buddy, and just followed her around everywhere. So we had a dog, but it wasn't mine at that point. So we ended up getting a second one.
okay.
Yeah, so we got these 2 little guys.
Sounds like more of your sales skills that
Yeah,
working
totally.
together. Okay,
That's
I
right.
like it.
Yeah, totally.
Hobbies and activities of interest.
Oh man, I still enjoy some computer stuff here and there. Dabble in that, but I guess the thing I do when I am not doing real estate or just being with the family is we like going out. We got a boat, go out on Falls Lake and do some wake surfing and stuff like that. It's a lot of fun.
Mm.
Yeah.
Your burning desire is to
Hmm. Burning desire is to, I mean, honestly, to be a good dad, to be a good husband, and just to be a good follower of the Lord.
go.
Yeah.
My key to success is
Hmm. That's a great question. Is honestly, it's to understand it's not about all the things that I can do, but it's about the team that I build around me, or the team that has been built around me, even more so.
yeah, I think a lot of people don't understand in the real estate world how valuable a
Yeah,
team can be,
yeah,
especially as you grow,
yeah.
right?
I think there's a huge misconception that if there's more people, then there's less of the pie for me. And the reality is, if you put the right people on the team, then the pie gets bigger. So you can actually have a larger piece of the pie because you've all made the pie bigger. And that's what we do at our firm. That's really what my BNI chapter has been all about. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And here's my favorite question. And granted, this is the first time a lot of people are seeing you, so this will be new. Something no one knows about you.
Something no one knows about me. Whew, that's a good question. Well, I guess people know I renovate houses, but
Got to be a high school story.
high school
Oh, you know
story.
it's there. You know it's there.
Mm-hmm.
Preferably that your parents have already heard.
That
so it
they've
won't be-
already heard. Yeah, let's see. I think well, nothing terribly great, but I had a Volkswagen Bug, 73 Super Beetle was my first car. I wanted a Mustang. I got a Volkswagen. But anyway, so just, I drove it like it was a Mustang though. And it doesn't have a lot of power.
Yeah.
So to do a burnout, I have to go, like, pretty much go into like a gravel parking lot. I did this one day where we lived in Virginia. They had areas where they do trash collections. They have all these dumpsters, but it's in a big parking lot with gravel.
I like where this is
Oh
going.
yeah. So I pull in there and my brother and I are in the car. And so, just trying to have a little fun on the way home from school. And so I just start doing a couple donuts and just having a good time. Well, we get done and start to pull out back on the road. Well, just hot foot there, spun a little more gravel. Well, I pulled out on the road and I pulled out right in front of an officer. And now he didn't see all the donuts going on. He just saw me pull out a little quick. But anyway, proceeded to get a ticket, proceeded to have to go explain myself to the judge, and proceeded to have a fair amount of community service for the next 3 weekends. So I got my fill of trash pickup at the landfill, which I thought was kind of an oxymoron, but we had a good time. So yeah, learned a few lessons.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So BNI, you joined January 2010.
Yeah.
What was your first introduction to BNI anywhere?
Well, I will credit David Steins with One of a Kind for, I think, modeling a couple of things that I didn't realize at the time. So before I was with Hunter Rowe, my dad and I actually we had our own firm, and we were in the office one day, and this guy just walks in. And we're like, who is this? And so for any of you that know David, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But he just walked in, no fear, completely just who he is, explained himself, explained what he could bring to the table, and wanted to know how he could help us, which was a very different thought process. He wasn't just there to sell himself. He was there to make himself a part of my team and bring value to me. So the interesting part was we started to see the giver's gain idea before we even knew about BNI. Shortly thereafter is when I joined Hunter Rowe, which was Regan and Company at the time, and realized, hey, this is the BNI model is really what I'm after. So I went and actually applied at a different group, and it wasn't accepted. And so,
because you were so new in the industry?
No.
Oh.
That group. The interesting thing about the different groups is that there's different personalities within each group. So it's important to not only go and visit one group, but go visit a lot of groups, because there's going to be a place where you feel home, I think is a good word, because this is a team of people that you're going to invest in. So that was an okay fit, but it ended up not working out. And as part of that, the seat in my current chapter opened up at just about that right time. Well, I found out David had said, hey, we need you over here. And found out that another member, John Robinson, was a client of mine already. And it came in there. It was a much smaller group. I think we had 13 people at the time, and but it felt like home. And they approved me, applied, they approved me, and I've been there ever since.
And that is RDO5,
That's
Triangle Business Builders at Trolley Irish Pub in Briar Creek, Thursday mornings at 8:15.
Thursday
I know
at
a couple
8:15.
people in there, and that's that group is taking care of business there. If you are interested in learning more about BNI, whether in the Triangle area or anywhere around the country, please, you can give the local BNI office a call here at 919-465-1667, or you can go to this, if you'll send us an email, trianglebni@yahoo.com. They can get you some information back. You can talk to Steve Hand, who's the executive director of Triangle BNI. He owns the area here. And Mary or Brenda's in the office. Any of the three will help you and answer some more questions for you. We strongly encourage you to go visit a BNI chapter if you're a small business owner, even if you're just starting your business, because a lot of times people think, well, all these businesses are established, up and running. Not the case. There's been many businesses that have started. So the first meeting you went to was like, what were you more, which had a bigger effect when you walked into the meeting or walked out of the meeting?
Honestly, I think equally in different ways. I walked into the meeting, first meeting I had gone to, and it was a larger group. It was one of the larger Raleigh groups, and it really, I really hadn't known fully what to expect. Of course, I had a bunch of ideas, but it was different than that. It was very structured. A lot of people to get through the introductions.
Yeah.
But what I realized is, wow, these guys really have this thing down. Well, what they had down was the BNI process. They were just following it, and it allowed them to be very effective and efficient. So walking out of there, I felt like I knew 25 new people.
Yes.
Exactly. And of course I didn't, but I had enough about them to follow up with them and create conversations and get coffee. And amazingly, a bunch of people that really wanted to talk to me. And that was odd. I usually go into places and I want to go talk to people, but they don't necessarily want to talk to me. Right. But it was a really open opportunity to meet and continue conversations and relationships. So.
Yeah, one of the great selling points for BNI in general is for the solopreneurs. And at the time you were, I mean, you started. Yeah. How many people did you start your business with? Just you?
Yeah.
Okay. So as a solopreneur, you're out and about, so you can only be one place
That's
at one
right.
time. And so when you join a BNI chapter, you effectively gain a sales force anywhere between 12 and 35 or 45 people. And that's one of the beauties of that. So as you started going, second meeting, third meeting, second month, third month, what kind of plan did you start putting together for how you were going to activate BNI and this group to grow your business?
Yeah. Well, I will say one of the things that I did from the beginning, and now the real estate seat is a pretty important seat in a group. We're one of the key members, so it's an honor to be included in a group in that seat, but it also is a big responsibility. But so I guess I had a strategy because there's a lot of competition for those seats also.
Yes.
But whether there's competition or not competition for your seat, I would highly recommend as a new applicant that you find out who the leadership team is, find out who the membership committee are, start with them, seek them out, just ask for time with them. They'll all give it to you. Meet those people that are in charge of the group, and then go and take as much time as you can to build into the rest of the members. Anyone you think you might want to get to know, go meet with them and do it offensively in the way that you're going to schedule those meetings. Go track them down. They want to have time with you. But if you go ask for it, it's going to make you stand out. And that's what I did. I really just went and dug in with each of them, and I did it all in like 3 days to meet with everybody I possibly could. And I think that made a big impact.
Yeah. And obviously the mortgage person is crucial to the relationship for the realtor in any group. And in my chapter, the person second most important to my realtor is our handyman.
Yeah. Well, we could use a really good handyman. We've actually not had a handyman the entire time I've been in there. Yeah. We've had a few apply, but someone that'd be a good fit would really be useful for us. So everyone listening out there, if you know a good handyman, send them to our chapter. Yeah.
Thursdays, 8:15.
Exactly. At Trolley Pub. Yeah. There's a bunch of crucial seats, but the interesting thing is there's this tendency to believe that if you don't, like, people that don't have anything to do with real estate, their first thought is, well, I don't know how I would possibly refer you. The reality is, if you know people generally have to live somewhere. most people either live in a house or they want to live in a house, and there's certainly some exceptions to that, which is totally fine. But the majority of people live in houses, so there's always a way to refer, and that's the thing across the board. I Marcella Stewart is holds our skincare seat. She's with Mary Kay, and I'm thinking, well, not where I spend the majority of my time is trying to figure out how I can refer
Mm.
people that wear makeup. But guess what? Most women wear makeup, and half of my clients are ladies, because they're husband and wife. So it's just about changing your mindset to the people that you run across on a daily basis to have your antenna up for someone that needs a
Mm.
service,
And a lot of times what I've seen in chapters is people have the same thing. I don't know anybody wanting to buy a house until the realtor goes, "I'd like to meet renters." And then
Yes.
all of a sudden everybody
Right.
is, "Oh, I got 5 friends right
Right.
now that either an apartment or a house."
Right.
And you're right. And then just changing their way of thinking.
Yeah.
So next time you go into a room, you're like listening for, "Oh, that's right."
That's
And then you
right.
hear that and I've been saying this for 3 months to you. Oh, I just knew I started to
Yeah,
listen for that. So
absolutely. Well, and the funny thing is those people that are renters, two of them are wanting to buy a house. So they actually
oh,
they fit the first description, people wanting to buy a house, but it took a little education and a different thought process to say, well, let's look for
yeah,
renters. And now, oh, guess what? Those two people want to actually buy a house. So it's just about digging in, educating each other. And when you start
that's the
building
key.
those relationships, just being in the room is a good start. But it's that work that you do outside of the room through a one-on-one and just digging in with somebody, learning about their business and how you can help them, just kind of all of a sudden is a catalyst for how they want to help you.
Mm.
Yeah.
Do you remember your first referral you got?
I don't.
Okay. Do you
I
remember the
don't.
first referral you gave?
I would assume it would have been one of my
Yeah.
clients. That's the beautiful part about the group for me is that I mean my real estate team is my real estate team. Like the real estate members in our group are my right hand
Mm.
guys. They make me look good to my clients, and so it was likely a referral to David for cleaning carpet. Yeah.
But that's usually because if you're moving into a
Oh
house
yeah, it's
or
crucial.
selling a house, you have to
Yeah.
do that.
You should.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
These days, you'd be amazed at what you can get away with. But if you want the right price for your house, you got to do those
yeah.
things,
And
regardless of the market.
and things are so competitive now. I mean, you hear stories of put a house on the market Friday, had pick a number showings,
Yeah.
and then cut that into third for offers,
Yeah.
and all of those are over the ask usually or
Oh
at or over
yeah.
the asking price.
Yeah,
So you're
we
right.
had we had one 2 weeks ago. We put it on the market Thursday. We had 54 showings by Saturday and 13 offers.
Yeah.
And I mean, we just shut it down. It was wild, and we got $30,000 over asking price on a $169,000
Oh
listing.
my.
We end up having to fight the appraiser on the value. So that it's like, how do you deal with that? That's why you need a real estate agent.
Yeah.
What do you do in that situation as you're a seller? I mean, there's a lot of moving parts to that. So, but yeah, it's a wild market to be part of right now.
Man. So, as part of RDO5, you've had a number of leadership
Hmm.
roles,
Yeah.
president, vice president, membership committee, and
Hmm.
education coordinator.
Hmm.
What was your mindset and let's just start as the president. What was your mindset going into it on how to help your chapter,
Hmm.
the new people coming in, things like that?
Yeah. I feel like the president's role is, I mean, they're the face of the chapter. So I think they're also the visionary of that, so it's the face and a vision at the same time, kind of where we want to go. So my job is not necessarily as the president wasn't necessarily to come up with the vision, but with the leadership team
Mhm.
together, kind of lead that charge each week. So um, part of that for us during the time that I was president was trying to figure out. Again, we were probably 13 to 15 members at that time, and we wanted to grow, but we
Mhm.
wanted to grow the right way. There's plenty of ways to put people in seats.
Yes, there
um,
are.
it's a whole other thing to put the right people in the right seats at the right time, and that means saying no to a bunch of people, and that means saying no to great people potentially if they're not the right fit for the chapter or the chapter's not the right fit for them. Those are important things. So um, we instilled goals, Imagine that for
Mhm.
business.
Yeah.
Not only for your each individual business and understanding what each member's goals for their particular business, what they are, but then also what are each member's goals for the BNI group. So for me personally, my goal is to have 25% of my business come from referrals that started out of the BNI group each year, and that might, this could be first referrals, it could be secondary,
Yes.
all that kind of stuff. But 25% is where my goal is. Um, we've got so for all the other members to understand that a quarter of my business is coming from that group, they kind of get a sense for where their role is in my sales team, if you
Mhm.
will. Um, we have members that want 50% of their business from the group. Well, that says a little something different. We have members that say 7% of their business comes from the group. So it's being able to understand what that means tangibly for each member
Yeah.
to how we can help support each other. So we started doing um, we started putting goals in place, and then we started tracking those goals at that time. And now we're doing that. We've done that for years now, and now we are on I'd say a real I'd say a tear for membership as far as our growth.
You have grown. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean we're double what we were, and we have applications all the time now, which is great. But again, it's being careful to choose the right people. Not only again, is this a good fit for the group, but is this group a good fit for that person?
Yeah, because it is a two-way
It
street, and
is.
it took me a while to understand how crucial that membership committee is. And I've
Yes.
told my chapters for years that you've
Hmm.
gotta have a doctor know on there, because you're right, there's
Yeah.
some people that the timing may not be right.
Yes.
I know a couple years ago, we had a lady come in, disaster recovery.
Hmm.
She was wonderful,
Yeah.
fitting with the group, but
Yeah.
she was new to the market
Right.
and new to her industry.
Right.
And we said, "Love you, but come back in a year."
Yeah.
Because she just didn't know anybody yet.
Yeah.
And it's when somebody, but then, so then when you get somebody coming in that has the relationships and everything, I mean,
Yeah.
it's like we had a banker visit the other
Hmm.
day, and we don't have a banker. So I was telling this nice lady that it's kind of like free agent recruiting in football.
Yeah.
They don't let them out of the complex till you sign the contract.
That's
So we're
right.
not
That's
letting you
right.
leave. So,
Yeah. That's
but
right.
when you find that right person, I mean, you got to get moving fast.
Oh, you do. You absolutely do. And it again, it's an investment. It's an investment on the person coming into the group because I mean, we're talking about, once a week we're meeting for an
Mhm.
hour and a half, and then but that's just the tip of the iceberg. It's the time that you spend again outside of the group with the members and digging in with those relationships. So in in theory, the group meeting should be a very small percentage of the effort and time each week that you're spending digging into these relationships. So that's why membership's so important, is to understand, is this a person that the group is going to be willing to dig in with, invest in, and help make successful? And do we feel like that member is also, or that new applicant is wanting to do the same thing with the group? Yeah.
So when you got full time into real estate,
Mhm.
when did you have, what was that aha moment that you said, I think this could work?
Well, before I was with Hunter Rowe, there were many nights where I had trouble sleeping because I knew I was good at what I did, but I didn't really see how I differentiated myself. Because I mean, I could work hard as a real estate agent, but so could the next guy. What made me different? What brought me? What did I bring to the table that was completely different than someone else that no one else could do? And so it wasn't until I was at Hunter Rowe with our processes and procedure and process improvement that kind of married up with I guess, my work ethic and my desire to serve people well. When those two things came together, it became exponential. So that was the aha, as to really balancing solid processes and procedures with a solid people business,
Hmm.
and digging in with relationships and creating those relationships stronger for people that not only know me, but that they like me. They'll answer the phone with a smile when I call, and then that they also trust me. Same thing with my BNI group. It's this idea of, well, of course I know you. Okay, you're the carpet cleaner. Okay, great. Well, actually, I like you. You're fun to be around. You're, just start a conversation, you make people feel welcome. But then you know what? You're also really good at what you do. And I trust you to do a really good job for my clients. And in David's case, that's a carpet cleaner. I know he will go in there and do a really good job cleaning carpets. But then I also know, and probably more importantly, if something doesn't go right, he is back there himself on his knees, figuring out what's going on with that carpet and will make it right. And so it's that level of service that all the members in our group bring to the table. And that's again why the membership is so important, because as we bring on a new member, we're looking for that know, like, and trust side of things. So if I can trust somebody to go into any of my clients' houses the way that I would, then they're basically going to have my back, and they're extensions of me.
Yeah, very much so.
Right. And so if I know that they're going to go in and I don't have to worry about it, then that makes me look good. That makes me look good to my clients, and they're going to want more of that. And it doesn't hurt that, if I recommend Carol for a mortgage and they're talking about financial stuff and we find out that, hey, you don't actually have a financial advisor, she's going to recommend Laird. Well, I'm also going to recommend Laird. Right.
Yeah.
And so once you start having that compounding realization of this team, people want more of it because it's infectious. It's a really, it's an infectious positive circle that keeps spiraling up.
In what I've found, especially these days with everybody's schedules, what they are, they want one person to call. Just call Jed. Just tell him, tell him I told you, call him, tell him what you need. And he knows somebody that does that, because then you're the hero all day long.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, that's exactly right. Well, if it's going to be one person to call, then you better make darn sure it's someone that you know and trust and like, and that know that if there was a problem, they're going to be out there to fix it.
So husband and wife dynamics are interesting anyways. I've been married 32 years, love my wife to death, the dynamic's good. So, but in the workplace, it is different. So how do you and Ashley pull that off?
Well, we are, for anyone that knows us, we're completely different personality types. I mean, completely. And somehow there's a lot of good that comes out of that, but we can rub each other the wrong way for sure. So the beauty of Hunter Rowe is that the processes that we follow, we do the same thing, but we work with a different book of clients. So Ashley she's a sales agent as well. She works with clients that work well with her. I work well with me. So we actually don't get in each other's way, which is great.
Smart move.
Yeah. But we can help each other. Yeah. So when we ask for it, so that works out really well. But yeah, I mean, I think it's been a real blessing to have this kind of firm that allows us both to be really good at what we do in the ways that our personalities actually work. Yeah.
And I think a testament to the success you have built and the types of people that you two are, you shot a pilot for a show for HGTV.
We did.
So talk a little bit about that, because they don't call just anybody. They're like, oh, we need this. Let's just go to Raleigh. We'll go through the book and just, you have to have built something to get that phone call from somebody.
Yeah, we did. We got so we did have that opportunity. It was a really incredible thing. We had a gentleman give us a call. Actually, I guess he sent me an email, and it just was saying, hey, we do shows for HGTV. Would you guys be interested in having a phone call about that? And so I yelled into the other room. I was like, hey, Ashley, you check out this email. She's like, yeah, that's a scam. I was like, yeah, that's what I thought, but I'm gonna
Prince offering you $100,000, right?
I was like, yeah, but I'm gonna email him anyway. So I emailed him back. He actually emailed me back. We scheduled a call. It was totally legit. We had an interview on the phone. Then they did a Skype interview with us. They made a little video. They put that out to HGTV. They liked us. So we kind of made that cut. They sent down a film crew to film with us for a weekend. And Ashley, they filmed with us on our due date for for Ellie. But we wanted to try to get that in before she was born. So anyway, we did a kind of a more professional bumper video as far as like, this is who we are. They pitched that to HGTV and we made that cut. So
this was on flipping houses.
It is. It was kind of a. The show was about renovating a house. But it was called He Sells, She Sells, because we both sell we sell all the time. We're selling to each other constantly. And that's, I guess, when you ask the question about how do we make all that
Yeah.
work, it's constantly us selling each other
Mhm.
on why we should do certain things, why we should have that carpet, why we should take Ellie to this school, why
Yeah.
we should do. I mean, we're always selling to each other. So it was fitting that we would have a show about trying to sell. So we would each find a house, and then we would sell each other on why it was the better investment. And
Okay.
then so we would pick that house, and then we would team up, and then we'd renovate that house together. And then whoever brought it to the table had to sell it. And so kind of had to put your money where your mouth is, kind of thing. And so for the pilot, we picked my house, of course. No, just kidding. No, actually, in this case, it was the better investment, and we did. It was a really cool experience because we got to do things to a house that really didn't make business sense. But we had a 1970 split level, and we actually de-split the split level. So we went in and ripped the middle floor out, and went from 8-foot ceilings to 14-foot ceilings.
Wow.
Yeah, so we dropped that middle floor down to the
Mhm.
bottom, and basically made it a two-story that way. So that was a lot of fun. We got to do some cool things. Sold the house, made a little money, but we got to make this TV show.
Yeah.
Yeah, so once we made that cut, they sent a film crew down. That took about 6-7 weeks of filming.
Just for that one house?
Just for that one
Okay.
house, yeah, and they filmed all sorts of stuff because they didn't know exactly how the show was gonna kinda
Mhm.
come together, but it was a lot of fun. It was a really neat experience kinda seeing it from that side and being part of it. Um, so anyway, they put it on a HGTV, and HGTV has their way of doing things and how they pick shows, and they really try to make it to where it's just their standard base, um, not all the people that we have kinda excited about the show that get to see it. So they put it on at very obscure times, on a weekend, and anyway, long story short, it didn't end up getting picked up. But it was I thought they made a I thought it was a great show. I would have watched it.
Yeah.
And I was a pretty big critic of myself and how we were doing that, how we were doing it, but I thought they really did a great job putting it together. So, yeah, so hopefully we got a copy of it. So hopefully we'll be able to do
Oh, very
another
nice.
opportunity for everyone to get to see it here before
Did
too long.
did you eventually get to the point where you were just you once you realized
Yeah,
the cameras are always around, we're just
completely.
gonna
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, both Ashley and I I'd say we're big personalities. So yeah, once we kind of learned the rules of what we should do, or not do is probably the better one. There are a lot of things that we naturally say and we don't realize we're saying them. So we had to do a few takes of getting those things cut out. But once we got that figured out, it was actually a lot of fun, and we had made friends with the crew and the director and everything. It was great.
Well,
It was
good
great.
deal.
Yeah, it was a
Hey,
really neat experience.
but again, that goes back to the quality of work that you and Ashley do in the market because they don't just call anybody.
No, it was really it was a real honor to be able to make it even to that level, and just have that experience. And yeah, I mean it was neat
Cool.
to be able to see. Yeah.
So going back to when you joined BNI,
Hmm.
so 2010, so let's talk like 2010 to 2012 and then to 2014, just the percentage of growth that your company made, either
Mm.
overall because of BNI or just through BNI. What kind of numbers were you seeing?
It's a good question. I'd say percentage wise, I mean, I probably started with, BNI was probably 5% of my business. And um, once we realized we need to start tracking this,
Yes.
and that's the key is like, if it's worth doing, you need to measure it. And so we would keep the normal statistics, but personally, from my statistics, I needed to start tracking where these referrals came from and where they ended up. And then which of those referrals then started generating more. So went from probably 5% that first year to the most it's been is about 33%
Mhm.
of my business. The thing you got to realize is if it's going to be 33% of your business, then you need to spend 33% of your time, right? You get to spend the percentage of time you want from the percentage of the business coming from BNI,
Good point. Yep.
right? So if I want 50% of my business, then I better spend 50% of my time investing in those relationships for the members and the visitors that come in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if people stop and think about that, whether they have a business right now or they're thinking about starting a business, if you look at one group of people, one meeting each week, and I always tell people, look at the whole meeting as a client, not
Hmm.
28 people, all this
That's
stuff.
right. Yeah.
But if you look at it that way, and that meeting and that group of people is worth 25 to 35% of your bottom line, I mean, how do you not join? And it's $445 a year,
Yeah.
and it's a third of your bottom line. And I'm guessing we're not talking 4 or $500,000 in sales for you guys in a given calendar
Yeah,
year. So
yeah. It's I think the challenge is that most people don't realize the gravity of what it actually is.
mm,
And you come in a room, you have a good experience, you have a good time. You see a bunch of people that kind of get along. They're going through this process. It seems pretty well put together, but the depth of what this group actually can provide each other
yes,
is not necessarily apparent by one meeting, right? So you have to kind of start to dig in to understand it. But once you get the idea that in our case, 25 people, these 25 people are invested in each other to the
yes.
point where I can call any of them. They will give me they will, any of them would be willing to give me a review,
Mhm.
whether it's online or on the phone or even in person to a client that might be considering working with me. Certainly a reference. They will give me referrals. But they're more importantly going to ask me how I'm doing. How's the business going? They're going to help me think through problems that I might be having in real estate. Guess what? Matt Yablonowski, their credit card processor, will sit and dig in and talk about business with me, the people business. How can I build my people business better? And what does he know about real estate? Not much. He knows credit cards, but we know people,
Yes.
right? So this idea of Matt's willing to take his time at no cost to me, at cost to him, because he could be doing other things, right? We're investing in each other to help each other grow, which makes that pie bigger
Yes.
and makes it bigger for everybody.
Yeah, and I think one of the other benefits of being in a BNI chapter is your group has 25 people. So
Mhm.
you've got 24 other industries you can call just
Yeah.
for a, hey, let me
Yeah.
run this idea by you
Yeah.
where if you didn't
Right.
know that person, they're going to charge you whatever their rate is per hour to answer your question or meet with you.
A-
But these are people
Absolutely.
like, hey, I know this is a wild, crazy idea, but you know,
People pay a lot of money for mind trusts like that.
mhm,
Groups that they meet with that's exactly what they do. Come from other industries and pour into each other. There's a, we do that. We get that for essentially for the price of admission.
yes, oh yeah,
I mean, it's amazing. It's really all in what you do with it. It's that the giver's gain idea is a tremendous thought shift, I think, for a lot of people. And I think most people want to give, but don't really realize, "Oh, well, what do I bring to the table
or how to,
or
yeah,
how to,
exactly, yeah.
right? You come and spend a little time with a few members that get that and understand it. They'll explain it to you. But the reality is, what I have and what I know what makes me successful in the real estate business, if I can bring some of those same thoughts and methodologies to help someone be successful in their cleaning business, in their financial advising business. I'm not teaching them financial advising strategies, but I'm teaching them people strategies
And best
and best
practices, things like
practices,
that,
right? And
exactly.
and and they're doing the same for me. And so we can all figure out how to do things a little bit better and help each other. All those goals that we set out to put on paper at the beginning of the year, we can help each other dig into those and make sure that we actually attain those goals by the end of the year. Because let's be honest, BNI is really a business decision that you're making. You're making an investment of a small
Mhm,
monetary investment, but a much larger time investment.
yes.
And we gotta track those numbers and make sure that that is actually a good use of your time and your resources. And hey, it's certainly not for everybody, but I argue that it probably is if you can get yourself into a people business mindset. Because I mean, what does it take to go hire 25 sales
Oh,
reps
god.
for you?
Just the interview process.
Right. And honestly, you're trading in that case, you're trading dollars
Mm,
for someone to go out and sell your product, right? You've hired them. Well, here you're trading energy, you're trading care, you're trading, um, and you're actually trading in your own what I all the things that I bring to the table, my reputation. I'm trading in that
yes.
for the other members of my group, but it's not necessarily costing me dollars. Which honestly, I feel like my members in my group are more invested in me than some of my team members at the firm, right?
Yes.
Because we're vested in each other.
Mhm.
My success helps other members in my group to be successful. So they know
Yes.
if they send me a referral, I'm sending probably 5 to 6 back to the group.
Yes.
So the more that they invest in my business, the more that helps the group and more that helps their in business as well.
And the other thing I've seen from the very successful groups is they have the relationships outside. So you have a once a month coffee, breakfast, happy
Hmm.
hour, whatever you call it. And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden you're going to a couple basketball games or a
Yep.
movie or
Yeah.
whatever together. And that builds those bonds even tighter.
It does. I mean, like it's that know, like, and trust, right? You
Mhm.
get to know people, then you actually get to like them, and you actually want to spend time with each other. I mean,
Yep.
I think you said in a past show, it's it's not something. It's not, you don't want drudgery when you come to the meeting.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
these are my friends, and they're people that are invested in me and in my business and my success.
Mhm.
Who doesn't want to hang out with that
Yeah.
kind of crowd? I mean, that's really great. But the cool part is, it doesn't stop there. That's the secondary thing. Like, we're actually here to do business with each other. So we're all about passing those referrals. We're all about digging in and finding out how we can help each other. But we have a good time doing it.
And it's 8:15 on a Thursday morning.
Yeah.
You want that energy to
Yeah.
go. It's like, all right, I'm going
Absolutely.
to see my people and doing that.
Absolutely.
So, okay, so this is end of July 2018.
Mhm.
So 2019, December,
Mhm.
what's the goal for the team, for your team? What's the next step for you guys?
For the end of this year
Or
or
no,
for the
let's
end of
go another
next year?
end of
So we
2019.
put it out another 2019. Well, I want to add another 10% of my business coming from our team at BNI, and as our group grows, that's easier to do because more members,
Mhm.
less I need from each member, effort from each
Yes.
member, right?
Yep.
If you divide it out over the membership, so really it's more of the same. It's digging in with the members, the new members that come in, getting them up to speed and teaching them. But I'd say we want our group to grow by another 5 seats. Um, we don't know who those are just yet. We are always on the lookout for certain people, but as luck usually has it, the right people come along at the right time, and hopefully we're
Yes.
smart enough to realize that. So yeah, we want to bring in 5 new members, and in doing so, I'd want to add 10% of my bottom line coming from the group, which means I need another 10% of my effort and time
Mhm.
pouring into the group.
Yeah.
But that's, again, a beautiful thing when I get to put my energy into building someone else's business. They get benefit of that, and so do I. It's just, you just can't stop it. It's
And
really
you've seen
great.
it work. So you know that 10% is doable.
Completely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, you got to measure it. You
Mhm.
can't just be like, well, I want 10% and then not do anything to follow up with it, right?
Yep.
You have to, I mean, all of these things come down to, how many people do I meet with on a one-on-one basis? How many phone calls am I making to schedule meetings? How many people am I inviting to the meeting? The reality, you can't necessarily control the referrals that you get, but you can control the amount of energy and effort you put into the basics of BNI, which is meeting one-on-one with people and inviting visitors.
One of my favorite things is the referral that just comes out of the blue.
Yeah.
And when you sit and look back at it, usually you can go, that's right, I met with them about 5 months ago.
Yeah.
And then you think, well, they called me. And then the successful people took that extra step. This person took the time to call me. They wanted to meet with me. You know what? I'll have a cup of coffee with them.
Yeah.
And 5 months later, just out of the blue,
Boom,
something
there it
happens
is.
because
Yeah.
you took the time to do that.
Right.
Again, going back to the giver's
Right.
gain.
Yeah. And that is the cool part, is that you don't always get to you have to go back and look, and you
Mhm.
see where these things, kind of where the chain has gone through. And I've had them from a couple years back where I connected somebody in the group to someone I knew that needed, we'll just do an example. Like, Matt would be a good example for credit card processing, starting a new business. He goes in and helps them with credit card processing. And maybe I don't ever talk to that person again. It's just someone I ran into. Well, now they're in Matt's database of
Yes.
clients, right? So he's keeping up with them on a consistent basis. So guess what? When they start talking about wanting to buy a house, comes back around. So I get this call from someone I haven't talked to. They're not in my normal sales team member group that I'm communicating with. Um, and they're like, yeah, Matt connecting you back. That's just a beautiful thing,
Yes.
and then sometimes they'll go 2 and 3 layers deep. People I've met at other groups remembered me and remembered something interesting about what I did that stuck with them. They gave out a name, and then, it comes from there. It's super interesting to see where all these things come
Oh, I
from.
love it. And you're
Yeah.
right. But you have to track it,
You
because
do.
otherwise you're like, wait,
You
did I
do.
spend time? Was that at this?
Yeah. Well, and then track it, go back and see how many layers that went through, and then go thank all those people,
Yeah.
because they're
Oh, good
all
point.
looking out for each other. And that's the cool part, is like, not I mean, obviously you're digging in with the members in your particular chapter, but we have 40 plus chapters in the Triangle.
Mm.
Those are all like-minded individuals. They all want to know you. Go and visit other groups because, well, again, for me, real estate, I mean, there's going to be a real estate agent in every other group, just, unless they're transitioning, but there's always going to be a real estate agent. So it's not necessarily about me going to find more referrals from another group. But if I don't have a plumber
Yes.
in our group, I need good plumber. I need to go, I can meet other vendors, but I can also bring value to connecting. There might have been two HVAC guys that applied at my group, and they both might have been really good. Maybe another group needs HVAC, and now I've got someone I can send that way, send over there. So,
and again, you look like the hero. You put in the work.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the beauty of all of this, is that when a group chooses to follow the BNI model properly, everyone wins. Everyone looks like a hero because someone has given a good introduction, and that introduction ends up being really great. We just continue to make that. It's kind of that rising tide raises all ships. It really is an upward spiral of positivity if everyone's doing it.
It all works. I agree. And if you'd like to get some more information on BNI, whether you're in the Triangle area or not, you can send us an email at trianglebni@yahoo.com. Steve or Mary or Brenda be more than happy to get back with you. There's the phone number, 919-465-1667. And there are plenty of stories like Jed's out there of people that have started and or grown a business through BNI. It's a wonderful place. Meet a lot of good friends, do some business. Jed, we appreciate having you on here today.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And good luck with the rest of the year. Good luck with the new baby.
I appreciate it. Looking forward to it.
We will talk to you next week on Triangle BNI.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by Telestream's Wirecast software, StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.